What if the person you love doesn't actually love you back? Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Not in the way you think, not in the way you need. They might hold your hand, they might sleep beside you, they might even say the words, "I love you." But something doesn't feel right. Something sacred is missing, and you've been trying to name it for months, maybe years. This isn't about being paranoid. It's about finally seeing what your soul has been whispering through the silence. These aren't just minor issues. These are signs your relationship is starving for something real, and you've been surviving on illusions. Stay until the end, because the final sign might not only confirm your deepest suspicion, it might just free you from the trance. It could change your entire life. Here are 10 signs your partner doesn't love you, even if you think they do. They no longer see you. In the beginning, they noticed everything. The way you scrunched your nose when you laughed, the way your voice changed when you were nervous, the tiny rituals you did to feel safe. But now, their eyes pass over you like your furniture. You could be weeping in front of them, and they'd ask what's for dinner. This isn't just about attention. It's about presence. The absence of their gaze isn't neutral. It's an erasure. Being unseen is a quiet kind of death. It eats away at your sense of existence, wondering if maybe you're asking for too much. But beloved, the soul was never meant to survive on breadcrumbs. Love doesn't always need grand gestures, but it always sees. And if they cannot see you, in your joy, in your sorrow, in your becoming, then it is not love. It is convenience. They don't protect your vulnerability. There was a time when you could cry in their arms and the world felt safe. When you shared your fears and they held them like sacred relics. But now your tenderness is a target. They mock your emotions, dismiss your insecurities, weaponize your wounds in the heat of an argument. What once was intimacy becomes ammunition. True love is a guardian of vulnerability. It does not turn your softest parts into points of shame. If they cannot hold your pain with reverence, they are not loving you. They are consuming you. Love is not supposed to feel like exposure. If you constantly feel like you have to hide your truth to stay connected, you're not in love. You're in survival. They've stopped choosing you. Love is not a feeling we fall into once and float inside forever. It is a choice, daily, deliberate, and conscious. It is the decision to prioritize, to honor, to return again and again. When someone stops choosing you, it looks like canceled plans, forgotten promises, and emotional absenteeism. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's just silence where there used to be effort. You begin to feel like a backup plan, an afterthought, a placeholder for something better. And yet you stay, because part of you believes that if you just try harder, they'll remember how to love you. But that's not how love works. You should not have to audition for a role you already had. If they are no longer choosing you, They are no longer with you, no matter what they say. Your needs are always too much. You've stopped asking. You've stopped expressing. You've stopped needing. Because every time you do, you're met with sighs, rolled eyes, or silence. Your emotional needs are treated like inconveniences, your desires like burdens. It's as if the very essence of who you are is too much. So you shrink, you silence, you swallow yourself to keep the peace. But love does not require self-abandonment. You should not have to become less in order to be accepted. If they make you feel like your needs are unreasonable, it's not because you're too much. It's because they are not enough. Not enough capacity, not enough care, not enough love. Real love stretches to hold you, not shames you into invisibility. They rewrite reality to avoid responsibility. You bring something up, something they said, something they did, and suddenly you're the problem. They didn't say that. They didn't mean it that way. You're too sensitive. You're imagining things. You start to doubt your own perception. It's like arguing with a ghost. Every truth you bring dissolves in front of you. This is not miscommunication. It's manipulation. It's gaslighting. And it's a powerful sign that love has left the room. Real love owns harm. It leans in. It seeks to repair. If every conversation becomes a maze where you are always at fault, you are not in love. You are in a psychological battlefield disguised as intimacy. They're only affectionate on their terms. They kiss you when they want sex. They hold you when you're useful. They're warm when it benefits them. But when you need tenderness, when you reach out in a moment of sadness, fatigue, or craving, they recoil. Affection becomes a performance, not a gift. It is rationed, conditional, and transactional. Love is not affection with strings attached. Love responds. Love meets you where you are, not only when it's convenient. If their affection disappears the moment your needs arise, it's not love, it's control. And you deserve to be loved in all your seasons, not just when you're easy to touch. They avoid emotional intimacy. You know their favorite movies, their work schedule, their preferred pizza topping, but you don't know how they truly feel, what they fear, what breaks them, what they dream of. Every conversation stays surface level. Every vulnerable moment is redirected, dismissed, or deflected with humor. You live in proximity, but not in connection. Emotional intimacy is the heartbeat of love. Without it, you're roommates. Without it, you're two actors reading lines on a stage that once felt sacred. If your attempts to deepen emotional connection are met with distance or discomfort, it's not because you're asking too much. It's because they are unwilling or unable to meet you in the depth where love lives. They don't support your growth. When you talk about your dreams, they yawn. When you take a step forward, they pull you back. They don't celebrate your evolution. They feel threatened by it. You begin to dim your own light to avoid their discomfort. You minimize your successes, censor your excitement, keep your wins private because your joy feels like betrayal. Love does not compete with your growth. Love cheers it on. If someone feels safer when you are small, they are not loving you. They are managing you. Real love expands when you expand. It wants you to thrive, to stretch, to become. And if your growth feels like abandonment to them, it's because they were never truly walking beside you to begin with. They drain you instead of nourishing you. You feel more alone after being with them, more confused, more anxious. You find yourself constantly recovering from their words, their moods, their absence. You used to feel uplifted in their presence. Now you feel depleted. Love should not exhaust your soul. It should refill it. When the relationship becomes a source of chronic emotional fatigue, something sacred is missing. Love is not always easy, but it is not a parasite. If you are always giving and rarely receiving, always calming them while neglecting yourself, always rescuing while being abandoned, this is not love. This is a slow soul death. You keep hoping they'll become someone they're not. You don't love them as they are. You love their potential. You love the version of them you saw in the beginning, or the version you know they could be. But day after day, that version never arrives. You keep waiting. You keep believing. You keep hurting. Because your hope has become a leash around your own neck. This is the most devastating sign of all, because it asks you to confront your own denial. You are not in love with them. You are in love with a story, a dream, a fantasy, and that fantasy is costing you your reality. If you have to keep abandoning your truth to preserve the relationship, then the relationship itself is the abandonment. And maybe it's time to stop waiting for them to become the person you deserve, and start becoming the person who no longer tolerates this kind of love. What if this isn't the end of your story, but the beginning of your awakening? Leave a comment below. Which of these signs woke something up in you today? And if this resonated, I invite you to subscribe. This space is sacred. This community is for your healing, your clarity, and your rebirth. You don't have to walk this alone anymore.